I stand here today with my colleagues to affirm that we can no longer permit our nation's failed immigration system to continue. More frequently than any other commandment in the Torah, we are told that we must welcome the stranger. And as the Congresswoman quoted just a few minutes ago the words of Leviticus, "The strangers who sojourn with you shall be to you as the natives, and you shall love them, for you are strangers yourself in the land of Egypt." As we prepare to celebrate Passover and recount the story of our own exodus from Egypt, those words resonate deeply. There is no clearer mandate than the system that the rabbis in the Talmud times established to provide social benefits in society available to the ger, the stranger who lived in our midst, as well as to Jewish citizens themselves. As Americans and as Jews, the values of our ancestors guide us as we consider the nearly 12 million undocumented men, women, and children living in the United States, and the many others who dream of becoming Americans. Dreams hold great power. We know that it was Joseph's ability to interpret Pharaoh's dreams that raised him up and ultimately led to the sojourn of the Hebrew people in Egypt. And yet, we know too that over the generations, that dream became the nightmare of enslavement. Today, the dreams of those who seek a better life in America too often see their dream become a nightmare. It is a nightmare to face an immigration system and bureaucracy collapsing under backlogs that leave family members separated for decades. It is a nightmare for law enforcement to stop people who threaten our nation's security when at the same time men and women in immigrant communities are afraid to reach out to those very law enforcement people for help and support in fear of their own deportation. It is a nightmare to know that our nation's workers are toiling in terrible conditions, exploited by employers who take advantage of their undocumented status. The answer to these nightmares is clear. It is comprehensive immigration reform. Comprehensive immigration reform must include a reduction in the crushing waiting times for family reunification. It must include opportunities for the hardworking immigrants to come out of the shadows. And of course, we understand it must also include border protections that are both effective and consistent with American humanitarian values. During the Passover Seder, Jews across this nation will taste the bitter maror to remind us of the bitterness of slavery. We will recount the story of our liberation and rejoice at the sweetness of freedom. Many will think of their own family members who, for over 350 years, have come to the United States in search of a more hopeful life, a life free from religious persecution and poverty, where family members have had the chance to be reunited and to contribute to their adopted home. But we cannot think only of our own history. We must also think of what we can do to make our nation stronger by fixing our dysfunctional immigration system and providing a path to those who want to contribute. The time has come to put aside the policies and practices that do not work. The raids that too often are carried out without respect for the dignity of men and women. The detention centers that regularly neglect even the most basic human needs. And the mindset that dehumanizes those in our midst who are not really strangers after all. As a people of faith, as inheritors of an immigrant history, and for many of us as immigrants ourselves, we call for a comprehensive approach to immigration reform. Thank you.